Right, guys, welcome back to the channel and to the next episode of Your Armies on Parade. And today we have an absolutely fantastic Sylvaneth army from Emil. So, welcome to the channel, Emil. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. Now, I saw your models in the Age of Sigmar Sylvaneth group, which,
Yeah,
if people aren't a member of it and you play Sylvaneth or you're interested in Sylvaneth, check it out. There are some beautiful armies out there. But yours in particular stood out, Emil, because of your beautiful bases.
thank you.
And you did mention a little bit of a post about how you haven't actually been in the hobby that long in comparison to some people, and that you actually attended a tournament as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did play Warhammer back when I was a kid, as everyone else did, who's in the hobby now.
Yeah.
From like 11 years to 14 maybe. And then I had a 17 years hiatus, and now I'm back. So I started in December, maybe, buying my first kits and started painting in January and playing with my friends. So yeah, that's how I got started again. And yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, what actually drew you to Sylvaneth? What chose, what drew you to that army?
Well, I was looking at a bunch of different ones when I started looking at them. One of them were Beastclaw Raiders, and then I was interested in Iron Jaws as well, because I think like both of those armies are just fantastic looking. But I had a bunch of Wood Elf stuff from when I was a kid, like these metal figures of the old dryads and old tree lords, and then I just looked at the Alariel model and I felt like, okay, so if I want to paint like the most epic model in all of Warhammer, it's gonna be Alariel. So that was
Yeah,
kind of the model that tipped the what do you call it, the water over the edge of the jar,
yeah.
for Sylvaneth. So yeah,
To-
that's
to- Totally agree. I mean, Lucy fell in love with it, and it was the reason that she chose that Sylvaneth as her second army. So really, really excellent choice there. So obviously, you mentioned that you've only been painting and building and stuff again for December. So in 10 months,
yeah.
I presume you didn't paint much, obviously, in that gap or hiatus that you took from the hobby.
No, actually, I didn't paint a single model for 17 years.
Wow.
But yeah, I work in media production. Like I do a lot of retouching and compositing in Photoshop. So I got like a base in light and color. Like my knowledge there is,
Hmm.
I would say, above average. So I had a bit of a help coming into painting miniatures from that. But it's just been 9 months of hustling and watching everything on YouTube and Patreon and whatever's available.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like an addiction. You get hooked, and yeah,
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I took a massive gap for about 14 year, and then obviously I just suddenly got addicted. I bought one tactical squad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna paint these. I haven't painted for a long, long time. One tactical squad, and then lo and behold, 15, 40k armies, and about 6 Age of Sigmar armies later, here I am.
yeah. It doesn't happen over an evening, but yeah, for me, I don't know. Like I bought some kits in December, and like the first models I put together, it just felt like shit. Like putting the dryads together, I just thought like, man, this is gonna suck so bad. But I knew I really enjoyed painting when I was a kid, so that was always my goal. Like I really want to like build this up and then paint them. And the first dryads just like I knew dry brushing, so that was what I tried, and everything just looked blotchy, and you have these like white dots all over the models. So uh, I re-sprayed those, and yeah, just learned how to paint again
Yeah,
from the top, and yeah, it got better, that's for sure. And after that, I was hooked.
awesome. So when you were doing Alariel, and of course there's pictures of Drycha and such here as well, um, what were your thoughts about building the bases? Because obviously the bases that you've done, this isn't something that you can just kind of sit down and kind of throw on a base, what ideas did you have when you thought, right, I'm really going to base these models awesomely?
Yeah, well, I had I get these ideas in my head, like pictures of things I want to do, and sometimes when I start building it, it becomes something completely different. But then I've had something to work from. So with Draika, for example, I had the idea with the Stormcast guy lying on the ground, and then like his head or like the flash of lightning coming down and picking him up. But I just didn't know how to make the Stormcast, like how to cut him up, because it was one of these easy to build kits, so he was like finished in one piece. So yeah, I made him standing up, and then I just added rocks and tried to find like a cool pose with Draika, and then just add stuff after that.
Yeah, I mean, both Draika and Alariel, probably two of the nicest Age of Sigmar models I've seen. I mean, obviously they have been out a couple of years, but
yeah.
when you look at some of the new models, they are just absolutely outstanding. I mean, if you look at Archeon, for example, absolutely phenomenal model.
Yeah, I just love so many of the kits. It's so hard not to just go every time there's a new model released to go and pick it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started my Iron Jaws army as well, and a Beastclaw army to paint. So let's see where this ends.
Tell me you've at least followed my tutorial for magnetizing the Stonehorn and Thunder Tusk.
Yeah, I didn't follow your video, but I did magnetize them. That's
awesome. Yeah. When I bought them, I was like, I'm really going to enjoy painting these. I was so used to painting armor. That's the thing I love about Age of Sigmar. You've got so many kind of mythical creatures. You can go crazy with color.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you don't even have to go to the big ones that I've done, like the Maw Crusher and Alariel or the Thunder Tusk. Like, you can go with the Paladors, like the riders from Stormcast.
Yeah.
Like, those are some of the most fantastic models I've ever seen, and the variation you can paint them in, it's just limitless.
Lucy's she's currently painting the Evocators on Dracolines.
Yeah.
They are baby.
Yeah, those are some fantastic models as well.
They are baby pink with hot pink scales.
Sounds like it will fit just perfectly with the rest of her army.
Definitely. So, what was it like getting back into gaming then? Because obviously, if you haven't been in the situation for a long time, you might have kind of staying out of touch with it. What was it like going back to sort of gaming clubs or around your friends' houses and relearning the game itself?
My memory of Warhammer Fantasy that I played back in the days was that it was just super advanced, because I had these Wood Elf books, and I had some extra books that were complementary to those, and then there was the rule book, and then there was like a magic book, and there was just so many things to read up on. So I was lucky to have one of these guys that I used to play music with like 10 years ago, and I saw on his Facebook from time to time that he was posting Warhammer stuff. So when I felt like I wanted to come back into the hobby, I just wrote him and asked, like, I was checking on the Games Workshop website, and they don't have Warhammer Fantasy. What's up with that? So he kind of helped me in and eased me into the gaming, and because where we live, it's like north of Sweden. There's not too much people here, so he didn't have a lot of people to play with. So we formed our own playing group.
Yeah.
So it was me, him, and another guy who was also a beginner, and that's how I got into it. So I had like a super easy start with people who were not heavy gamers, and then it was easy after those first 5-6 games to go into playing with heavier opponents.
Yeah. Excellent. So you obviously mentioned in your post in the Facebook group that you attended a tournament. Tell me about that. How was your experience at the tournament, especially with more sort of
fun? Yeah,
with the more competitive players? How did you find that?
It was super fun. It's one of the bigger tournaments in Sweden. I think maybe the second biggest or the third biggest in Sweden. So it's in total about 200 players. In the Age of Sigmar part this year, it was 40 players. So it was a bit less than it usually is.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that, I'm not sure. Maybe people haven't painted their night haunt yet. So, but yeah, we had some of the guys from the Swedish Six Nations team were playing there, and the gaming group that I'm a part of now as well, Warp Fuel Gas Station. That's one of the bigger local ones. Had 6 players in there, and we actually landed the spots from 1 to 4 in our gaming group, so we had quite a good roll.
That's fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
So now that you've been to a tournament, you've obviously repainted an army recently and gotten back into gaming. What part of the hobby do you find, or do you enjoy the most? Because obviously you tend to find that a lot of people are collectors and just like collecting the models. Some people are painters and really like to push the boundaries with the painting, whereas others are just happy, tabletop painted, and then they enjoy the gaming the most. What kind of ratios do you like those?
Oh, it's really hard to say, because for me, like, everything is part of the hobby. Like I wouldn't do it if I didn't have the painting, and I probably wouldn't paint if I didn't have the playing, and I wouldn't be as immersed in the whole world if they didn't have the lore and all the books and everything around that. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think like the whole package is what sells me. But in terms of hours spent on the hobby, painting is probably 95%, and then I play on top of that. Also, it's easier when you have kids to just, like, when you put the kids to sleep, you take an hour or two to paint every evening. It's harder to go away after like 8, 9 and play games to midnight if you're going up working in the morning. But I enjoy all parts of it. But yeah, painting is what I do most.
Excellent. So when you are playing, specifically, obviously, on the tabletop, what kind of a gamer do you consider yourself to be? Do you like getting up close and personal? Do you like sort of shooty castles? Do you like playing aggressive?
The way I play my Sylvaneth army is quite, I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of I start off being quite passive. Mm-hmm. I play 1-drop lists most of the time, so I can put up all the woods I want to have on the field. And I make people come to me through the ways or the routes that I force them to take. So after the first round, people usually have to come up closer to me, and then I fire off spells in the woods, and they take a lot of damage from that. And then when they charge, they lose models from charging. And then when they're up close to me, usually I'm on the other side of the playing field because I teleported out of combat.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that as well. You say obviously you've watched a lot of the battle reports that Lucy Sylvaneth have been in. There was one that we filmed and my camera battery ran out, but I think she activated the woods about 3-4 times in a row.
Yeah,
and she was doing,
I mean, that's so devastating.
D3 wounds to me Iron Blaster.
Yeah,
3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
and she took all 9 wounds off it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with, like I played on the tournament on the not the last game, but the one before the last game. I was on the top table playing Mixed Order, and the player is just so fantastic. And he comes with like a Frostheart Phoenix and Alariel and Hurricanum, and like the Frostheart Phoenix had 2+ rerolling ones all the game. But because he needed to come closer to my objective, it was knife to the heart. He had to be in my woods, so I was just standing there and throwing spells, and all of a sudden it's gone because like you can't kill it. It has 2+ rerolling ones, and then on top of that a 4+ ward save.
Yeah,
and that's impossible to take out if you don't have mortal wounds. So the spells and the roused by magic was the only thing that kept me in that game. And luckily, when he was when the Frost Phoenix was gone and his Alarielle had charged up, he had left one of the woods empty higher up in the field, so I could teleport my guys up and just charge into his 5 guys, keeping his own objective. And I was lucky with the roll as well. I rolled a 6 when I teleported Dryka and my Tree Lord, so both of them could walk and charge that turn.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I didn't have as much killing power as him, but with all these small teleporting and awakening the woods, you can have a complete force that throughout the whole game can compete, not just like the charging round or the magic phase. You have every phase of the game you can compete.
Yeah. You mentioned there as well about a 1-drop army. Out of curiosity, what battalion do you play?
For this tournament, I played a Gnarl Root.
Yes.
Yeah. And I played quite character heavy. So I have a Branch Wraith, a Branch Witch, a Tree Lord Ancient, Dryka, and the Lariel. And then I have 5 Tree Remnants, 10 Dryads, and 20 Dryads. And then just summon shitloads of Dryads.
Lucy does love her Dryad. When she got her army, I painted 60 of them, and I was ready to put them in the bin. She's actually just picked up another 40.
Yeah, I think like that's for me the Dryads. They don't do much damage, but they control the whole board, and the -1 to hit is like it's so important because almost every army now they do mortal wounds with some character on the 6+, and maybe they have +1 to hit, so they do it on a 5. So if you can negate that and put that down, they will, like a unit of 20 Dryads, they will stand fast for at least 2 battle rounds.
Yeah, and especially if they're in the woods, because obviously you've then got them up to a 3-up save. You're +1 to hit when they fight, -1 to hit them naturally.
Yeah, if you have the Tree Lord, it's re-rolling ones on the saves as well.
Yeah, they are incredibly difficult to shift.
And a 2-inch reach. I mean, it's their attack is not too it's not impossibly good. Like if you have like Witch Elves, for example, that just does 500 attacks, but because you have the 1-inch base and 2-inch range, you can at least get a bunch of attacks in.
And then, of course, with the 2.0 rules means you can keep piling further around the model all the time. Absolutely fantastic unit, and the fact that you can summon them for free now with the Branch Wraith is, of course, fantastic as well. And I think that I haven't looked at the list that you've ran too much, but from what you've said there, you've got enough hard-hitting stuff. I mean, Tree Lord Ancients are fantastic. Yours looks phenomenal. Dryka looks amazing. And she, let's face it, if you get her in the right place with her shooting attack, she's devastating.
Yeah, usually she's my glass cannon. I just teleport her up close to the whatever like they have in their own deployment zone. You want to have her close to all the small heroes that they have, and you just put a bunch of Dryads around her so they can't charge directly into her the first round. And then you get like 3 or 4 wounds off most of the heroes or units the first round. And then usually she's gone by round 2, but it doesn't matter because everything is just put down their wounds.
Yeah. That's the thing I like about Sylvaneth. I mean, obviously I've only played against them, but I've played against them enough to know how horrible they can be when played well, and being on the receiving end of it's beautiful, but sometimes not fun.
But the good thing with it is it's not one of these super dirty one-trick pony armies.
No.
There's always ways of beating it, but you have to be at your top game. You can't leave open areas. You can't charge the wrong people into the wrong character because it's gonna hit you hard in the face. But if you play it right, you can beat the army. It's not unbeatable.
No. But yeah, I do like that they're not a massively top tier army. I think they're very easy to play But to master, obviously, like what you said with board control, working out who's going where, remembering to keep your spells within range of the words, things like that, it's a little more difficult to master them, and it sounds like you're certainly well on your way to doing that.
Yeah, I've had a good time playing them, and I think they fit kind of well with my personality as well, because I kind of like these tricky things and figure out things as the game goes on. So it fits me just perfect, I think.
Excellent. So, are you expanding the army anymore? Do you plan to add any more models? Kurnoth Hunters, maybe?
Well, I do have 6 Kurnoth Hunters, and I have some more 3 Revenants and 3 Lords. But like when I play the heavy games, like on a tournament, for example, and I want to have it as hard to face as possible, I don't like to put in a lot of Kurnoth Hunters, because my army is already very character heavy, with very few characters and few models, a lot of characters but few models on the table. And if I would remove, say, 20 of the Dryads, I would have just 3 Kurnoth Hunters. So for that type of playing, I probably won't add a lot of those. But for playing against friends, when you do just like the thematic games, narrative play, for example, then I sometimes I pitch them. I would play with 6 Tree Lords. So I do have these different elements there as well, but yeah, not for the competitive play.
Excellent. So the final question that I've got for you: if money was no question and you could walk into Games Workshop and pick any army you wanted, which army would you choose and why?
Oh, that's a hard one. Well, the one I'm most hyped about right now, it's Iron Jaws, and this excitement for October that haven't been fulfilled yet, I think, made me even more excited about Iron Jaws. I just love the models. They're just so fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know how they will play. I haven't played them yet, but yeah, I painted a Gordrak and a bunch of Gore-Gruntas, and my plan is to play with 2 Maw Crushes and 15 Gore-Gruntas.
Nasty.
It will be kind of the opposite of what I play now. It will be just like first round, I will be up 15 inches before the game even start, and then I will charge you, and whatever is left on the table, I guess you can play with. But
is that using the Iron Fist?
I haven't decided yet. Like I'm leaning towards the Gore Fist, because then I have the 15-inch move before the game even starts.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'll see when I've started playing them. I will probably have to add some Brutus or Art Boys as well. But
yeah,
hopefully I can go just with the the pigs and the Maw Chickens.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally just started Iron Jaws as a result of my Patreons. So I recently picked up a Start Collecting box, some Ard Boys and Maw Crusher, and some Brutes and the Shaman. And I'm going to be painting mine with blue skin.
Ah, yeah.
And I'm
icy orcs.
Yes, to tie in with my Beast Claw Raiders, so I can run Bragarath's Beast Hammer.
Yeah, I think that's the... It inevitably ends up somewhere around there when you start with Destruction. It's not like Order, where you choose a faction and you go with that faction. With the Destruction, it's like, if you fall for Destruction, you just buy everything.
Yeah. Because I've also bought the Grots from Night Vault as well. And I've got Stink Mullet here on my desk, and Stink Mullet is gonna go blue as well.
Yeah.
So
let's go for it.
And my Magma Dragon is actually a Frost Dragon.
Ah, yeah. But did you get the Forge World one, or are you using some proxy?
No, the Forge World one.
Nice. That mod is just so epic. I just love it.
I've had a Rogue Idol for a little while now. And I've been waiting for an excuse to use it. Now, the Rogue Idol themselves are pretty good rules-wise and stuff, But realistically, they were better with orcs and greenskins. Since they've changed the rules, though, he does fit in a lot better with anything else.
Yeah.
However, he will be running my Ironjaw's army because the Weird Knob Shaman will get +1 free spells from that, and +2 for having 20 hard boys in front of him.
Yeah.
Which means I can Foot of Gork on a 7.
Oh, yeah. 50% chance, that's all you need.
Yeah. Because, it's the same spell as the Ferocious Maw from the Butchers, but it's D6 wounds instead of D3.
Yeah.
So why not have a +3 to casting?
I mean, that's the thing with the Iron Jaws. It's just, or destruction in general. It's just smashing face. I mean, how can you not be happy with that?
Exactly. So, Emil, thank you very, very much for joining me on the channel. If anyone is interested in seeing more of Emil's work, his Instagram page and everything will be down in the description. So please go and check him out. But honestly, congratulations on getting where you did with the tournament.
Thank you.
I hope to see more of your work. And
just go down to my Instagram page and you'll see more of it.
Excellent. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody that has supported the channel. We'll see you again next time.